I think Hamilton's probably going to win the championship this year. It's going to be pretty close between him and Rosberg in Mercedes because they look like they've got the best car. And they're a lot more evenly matched than people often give them credit for, particularly Rosberg. I think he's quite underrated, but he's kind of came into his own last year and he's coming into his own again this year.
I think going on the results that we've seen at the beginning of this season, you've got to hand it to Mercedes, I think, for being the trendsetters and just the absolutely dominant force.
I think it's, you know, the big two at the minute in my book who are very good at working through rule changes. I think Mercedes has done a great job and Red Bull will be good, and I think their engine is just letting them down at the minute.
Everyone talks about the technology and the engines, and it is all very fascinating and interesting, but for the ordinary fan, you know, they relate to the drivers. They're the people who they support.
We've got 3 rookie drivers on the grid, as well as a couple of the older drivers. And it's quite interesting to see how sort of these two camps have got on, because although these older drivers, sort of like Kimi Räikkönen and Jenson Button, they've been racing since the early 2000s, and yet they're still struggling with these cars despite all this experience. And yet you've got rookie drivers such as Kevin Magnussen who come in with a blank sheet of paper, and it's a new car. They don't know anything about what they've been driving before, except for their junior formula. And that has given them a little bit of an edge.
You do need to have that ruthlessness, you need to have the raw pace as well. So it's a combination. You need to have a smart driver and has the ruthlessness of a Formula One driver as well. So it's having that package.
Will Vettel be able to pull it back? That's really sort of the million-dollar question in all of this. Sebastian is a driver who really does split opinion. You either love him or you hate him. I'm in the love him camp. I think Sebastian is a phenomenal driver, a great person, and 4-time champion of the world for a reason.
I think the big problem at the minute with Vettel and his team is the engine. The Renault engine is not up to scratch. If I were him, I think he would be laying down and kissing to the Mercedes-Benz badge, wishing that he had one in his car. I think, of course, Renault will up the game, and the car, you know, they have Adrian Newey behind their car. He is a genius. So as soon as the engine comes good, I think they will, you know, push for the front for sure. They're fighters.
I think Vettel can still win it. We're only a few races in. If he manages to turn it around, if Red Bull manages to turn it around, he is the most dedicated driver on the grid. He puts in the hard work, and I think with Adrian Newey's design on the car, I still think they're in with a shout.
This year, though, he is now in, well, you could say the 3rd, 4th quickest car on the grid, and that's something he hasn't had since 2008 when he was with Toro Rosso at the back of the field. So it's a big challenge for him, and I think Sebastian really is going to have to come of age this year and prove himself as being an all-time great at the sport.
Vettel will not be able to turn it around and win the championship. There's 2 reasons why. Firstly, he's got a Renault engine, and they're not going to be able to recover by the end of the season. They can develop the engine through the season, which is not what the rules say, but you are actually allowed to. But Vettel's got another barrier to winning this year, and it's a guy called Daniel Ricciardo, who has pretty much matched him or outclassed him at every race we've been to so far, and I think the young German with the funny finger is going to be in trouble.